Hello guys! We're doing something a little different on the channel, as you can see from the beginning here. If you've just watched the TV show breakdowns, then this will be no new for you, as well as the gaming stuff. Which, to be clear, I do both, but I'm definitely more passionate about TV. And first of all, if you want to see my Invasion Season 3 trailer breakdown, that was like a week or two ago. I uploaded that if you're interested. I'll leave that at the end of the video for sure. But here we are. This is what we do on this channel. Is maybe a little different than a deep dive. We go through the episode. I talk about my opinions, details I noticed, what I liked, what I didn't like, and I've watched both seasons many times, so I'm definitely a fan. But I will say season 1 was a lot better in my opinion. I don't think that's the popular opinion, but that's mine. Let me know which season was your favorite in the comments below. But yeah, first time using a green screen for these vids. Taking a little bit to get it to work, but I think it's decent right now. But I'll talk through the episode. Apple has gotten more serious about their copyright and what is used on YouTube videos and recorded. So I'm going to be showing my face, talking to you, as well as trying to show some clips or some stills with fair use. So let's get into it. The first thing that we open on is I don't know, a guy, military working guy, says signal's dead. And without thinking, I just said, there's something wrong, because that's the lyrics to Space Oddity, which we know is a prominent song in this show from both seasons. I don't know if that was on purpose or not. Either way, I thought of that. I think that's interesting. And when he is talking about signals dead, he's talking about the signal to Travante, which makes it look like his life signs have failed, like Travante has died. And then we see the mothership start to fall to Earth, and it looked incredible. The VFX and everything just was awe-inspiring, whatever, as it falls down to Earth. And then we see a point of view of Jamila as she sees Casper kind of start to spaz out. And my first thought was, in the trailer, we see her crying in this room. But we do not see that right now. We will later in the episode, spoiler alert, but I mean, if you're here, you've probably seen the episode. And then we also see Travante in the mothership in the trailers, is what I was thinking at this point too. Trailers. I won't spoil too much about what's in the trailers, just what's relevant to this episode. But that mothership crashes into a range of mountains, and it looks incredible, but then boom, 2 years later pops up. Like, we knew there would be a time skip. But already, like a few minutes into the episode, we're already skipping through time. Like, I was a little disappointed, but I wanted to see where they were going, because I was kind of like, oh, they left us on like a big thing at the end of season 2. I want to see them carry that through in season 3, but then they kind of just go, oh, 2 years later, and then they show it in fragments, which I'll talk about that more later, my thoughts on that. But we see the text pop up, former United States, which is interesting. I wonder what that could mean. My theory at the time watching this last night was that it meant that there were no longer borders, that in this fight against aliens that humanity got rid of its borders, and that's why it's former United States. There's no longer this division. That's what I'd like to hope. That'd be cool. But I don't know if that's the case, and I want to hear what you guys think. And then we see a kid playing who has a toy Travante, who at this point is obviously being idled for apparently taking down the mothership. We follow this family in former United States with a dog named Armstrong, which is cool. And they're calling this the 2-year anniversary of M-Day, which apparently means the mothership falling day, where they succeed. And then there's also a Casper toy, which caught me off guard. I was like, oh, okay, Travante toy in a suit. I expected, but just Casper showing up. And I do want to note right now, actually, the props this episode and the set design was pretty good. Especially the ones resembling like the actors, like that painting of Casper, the toys, the sculpture kind of a thing of Casper at the end. Like, they all looked really good. A lot of Casper in there, but I thought it looked really good. The attention to detail was there and the effort was there. But here's where I started getting a little scared about alien Casper. I started to think of back to kind of season 2. You're wondering if Casper is really Casper, and then you get that last 30 seconds, you get that eye reveal that maybe he's not fully himself. And I guess we could talk about that a little more right now. Is just, what do we think happened with that on the ship? Like, he's obviously being idolized as well as helping take down the aliens, but is that what he did? Or was he there on another mission to help preserve the aliens? A lot of questions there. I'll talk more about my theories about what happened between Travante and Casper on the ship. But then we see the news says honoring Travante and Casper, saying they died. I thought they were just celebrating them. They were idols now, but remembering them, they were dead, which is kind of crazy. But like, I'm like, oh, they're not dead. I was like, oh, that's cool, but they're not dead. Casper actually, okay. I'll talk about trailers a little bit, for the future. If you want to skip, go like 15 seconds into the future. But basically, for you, those of you who stayed, the trailers, I don't think we saw any Casper besides what we've seen in this episode in the trailers. But we did see Travante, so I wonder if we don't see much Casper. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, we're back. Not talking about the trailers anymore. But the funniest part about the episode, I'll show the clip, is like his sister or something comes in the room and he like panics, but it's so funny to me. Like, he throws the Legos off, but it's supposed to be like he got scared and like ruined the Legos off of that, but it just looked so much so like he just pulled that along and pushed it off, even though that's not what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be his sister like jump scared him, but that was too funny for me. But yes, they are saying it's the end of the invasion, and I've heard this before. Season 1 finale, episode 10, you may remember, they thought they succeeded then as well until the mothership showed up. So, not buying it for a moment, especially since we're in a season 3. So they celebrate with some fireworks shows across the country at least. I don't know if they showed like the world. But they're celebrating, this family is celebrating, and then Armstrong the dog disappears. Classic trope. And the father, or the guy drinking some beer, goes to look for the dog, and for some reason I thought that this actor, or this guy, looks like either the nicest guy you would meet or the douchiest guy you would meet. And I couldn't tell. That's just a note as well. But he's looking for the dog, and then boom, firework goes off. Scared the hell out of me. I don't know if it did you guys. Like, it was a tense moment, and suddenly boom, like it was silent, but that firework was way too loud, especially in my headphones. But he hears Armstrong off in the shrubs, and then Armstrong lets out a little squeal, and then he don't bark no more. So, think the doggy died. And this show has been no stranger to cliches, which, just want to mention that up front, that was definitely a cliche. Season 1, I felt like, was less cliche. Season 2 got a little more generic and cliche, in my opinion, which I did not love. So that wasn't a great start. But, you know, I'm keeping an open mind. I do really enjoy the show. But then the guy sees a light blue thing here, and I want to hear what you guys think this is. To me, it kind of looks like some like tentacles protruding out of the ground, but it also looks like it could be part of an alien, like moving around, just part of an alien. And then the alien beetle, the hunter killer, comes in with its brutal attack of just like sprinting up to you and extending its like horns through you, which is crazy. And then the camera pans up to the fireworks. I did like that decision just like not focused on the death too much, just boom, you know what happened, we're panning to the fireworks. I appreciated that. And the invasion intro hits, and they're definitely using the season 2 one, not the season 1 one. Little sad about that. But if you don't know, the only difference is it's the same intro and the same music, except it's timed differently. The music is cut up a little different with the visuals, and I just appreciated how they did it more in the first season. As you know, you can tell I like the first season, but don't get me wrong, like season 2, I did, but I'm just saying, wanted the season 1 intro, didn't get it, it's fine, moving on. We get some nice shots of some waves, like they didn't even need to do that, but I appreciated it. I did like it. And then I love this shot of the light coming from the portal or the rift in the water. Like, it looks so good. Like, I appreciated some of the directing decisions this episode for sure. But we see 2 guys working in this facility, Portal Site 11, in the Atlantic Ocean. And I guess they're supposed to keep watch of it. And it is interesting, one of the guys mentioned Mothership has death rattles. Is this another one of the Mothership death rattles, he says. So, what do you guys think that is? I mean, it crashed. Maybe it's still got some activity, some seismic activity. Maybe it's still doing something like that. Maybe creating rattles, giant rattles or something, because it is such a massive thing, right? So it definitely could be doing that. But I was definitely expecting something to come out of that hatch. Travante is what I was expecting, because in the trailer, which was in this episode, it shows Travante coming out of a hatch in some water, and I thought we're in Atlantic Ocean. That looks like the same hatch, and Travante does come out of this one, and it got me thinking, but like, do Travante and Casper have time differences? Because Travante is coming out 2 years later, and we don't know how long he was gone, but he really just remembers what happened on the ship most recently. So there was some sort of time difference there, but where was he is the question, and why is he just appearing now? But yeah, I mean, for some reason they decided to open the hatch. I feel like that was a little unrealistic. Like, if there is possibly an alien in that portal coming out, just leave it down there in the hatch. That's why it's there. Just leave it where it's safe and trapped. But they just open it and they're like, okay, get your guns ready. Hasn't worked much in the past, that strategy, and it may get them killed further down the line if they're doing that. But yeah, Travante's in the hatch, and then we get a wide shot of the oil rig facility. I called it an oil rig in the trailer, but it's more of like a facility portal site. And then we get a shot of former England, again, former England. And I do appreciate that shot as well, because it was how they introduced England a lot in season 1 and in the intro. So I do like that shot. And yeah, I want to hear your theories of why they were called former. And I think my running theory, like I said, is that they removed borders, that they are Earth now. They aren't the United States and England, you know, but it could be something I'm missing, could be something else that you guys think. But we follow Jamila, who is now a painter. She is now drinking at the bar, so she's old enough for that now. She's got a new boyfriend, a new friend group, a new life. But they definitely do a good job of showing us that this is her new life, but she hasn't exactly embraced it. She's not exactly flourishing and lost in it. She's trying. And I'm going to be upfront, I never liked Jamila much. I think she was alright. I think she was more of a plot device for Casper, and especially Monty in season 2. But I'm willing to see if they make me like her more, because honestly, through the episode, I did like her a little more by the end. So I'm interested to see what they'll do. If they make me like her more, then that's nice. But then we see she happens to see this painting of Casper. Kind of in the darkness, there's dark, I don't know, alien things. And then I think it's really interesting too that they have kind of his face split in half. One's blue and one's normal. And is that Two-Face anything like alluding to his alien half, the alien part of him in that painting. I was wondering that, but I think the painting overall is really good. I love that painting. They did a good job with that. Then we go back to Gervonta, who wakes in some sort of cell. I did not expect a cell. He gets his food delivered, and a voice tells him, "You need to eat." And Gervonta asks if he's on the ship. The voice says, "Do you think you're on the ship?" Again, like, we don't need to be this mysterious. But they give him some food. He speeds over there, eats and drinks that. And then I just love this kind of throwaway line of him pulling up a sandwich and being like, "What is this? What's this?" And then completely ignoring it and then just eating it. Like, it's like, what the hell is this kind of sandwich? And then just eats it. So, I mean, I guess that could be just a throwaway line like a comedy. But if we try and look at it more seriously, if he was being serious, like for a second, if we didn't know what it was, that could be some foreshadowing alluding to maybe some sort of alien half in him, or maybe his memory issues, something like that. But they think he may be alien, and it's interesting. I thought when we first saw the cell, I was like, okay, there's one cell among many, but it's clear that he's isolated in one like cell by himself, being watched, not washed. That would be bad. Maybe not too bad, I guess. But he asks where Casper is. And sadly, I mean, that guy, the intelligence officer guy, we will learn, tells him that Casper's dead. And Gervonta starts to tear up. And I love that we just get this shot of a close-up on his face the whole time. We're just close up. We see it go through him. And yeah, I mean, at this point, I was kind of mad we didn't get to see immediately what happened. I was starting to think. But I don't hate it. I don't hate it now that I've seen the full episode. But Gervonta's on the news that he has made it out somehow at this facility in the Atlantic Ocean. They know. They might have mentioned it. I thought they might have mentioned it at one point. At one point, I started taking some notes, and I wasn't listening for like 10 seconds. And by the end of the 10 seconds, I was like, did they mention it then? And then I wanted to go back, but then like they started doing something that I was paying attention to, and I forgot to go back. So if they mentioned that they like reported it then please tell me, and I'm sorry for not paying attention in that part. But yeah, Jamila sees this, starts to tear up. Everyone's crying this episode, I guess, huh? But we, the audience, are inherently siding with Gervonta. He went up there. We trust him. We want him to be seen as the good guy. But it would be a pretty good twist if we inherently trust him like this and he actually is part alien. Because kind of the same thing with Casper. We trusted him. We're like, okay, guys, stop like berating him about possibly working for the aliens. He cares about you guys. But then like, boom, actually Casper is part alien. They might be doing the same thing with Gervonta. It'd be a decent twist. But the president wants Gervonta on a plane in 24 hours, so it's the intelligence job to make sure he's not a threat by then. Then when he's doing some sleeping, we see some flashes of what he saw for once. They start counting down. Casper and Gervonta are on the ship. Or they were counting up, maybe. I think they were counting down. 4 3 2 1 or 1 2 3 4. It was one of those. They're both holding their heads in the ship. Casper shouting 10 while he's in pain, like he was still counting. So I wonder why they were counting. It's definitely a good question. And then Gervonta immediately says there's something in the ship. He yells it. Some guy comes down and takes him out of the cell, and then he gets his head stuck with some things and his fingers to monitor the nervous system, and kind of a polygraph machine, I'd say. Not just I'd say, the episode says. And he does not remember taking down the ship, but he does remember seeing something in the walls, and we see glimpses of it, which is this new kind of alien that has been featured a lot in the trailers. And I just want to say, whenever they mention hunter killer, it's just so dumb. They call the beetle aliens hunter killers, and I think calling them beetle aliens is better because it's so dumb. And in season 2, they acknowledged it was dumb with a throwaway line. I forget what it's called. It's a writing strategy when that can sometimes work, where like the hunter killers is obviously a dumb name, but they throw it away. Like one of the movement people says, hunter killers, what a dumb name, or something like that. Sucks. That's what the army's calling these now. These guys suck. Something like that. It's not like that, but it's like they're acknowledging, the writers are acknowledging their own name sucks by mentioning a character saying it sucks, and that is a writing strategy. But I don't think it works here because it is just so dumb still. And I love the fact that the intelligence guy, there was one point where he slightly looks his eyes towards like the polygraph, the vitals machine, after hearing Travante's response, but it's not clear, it's not featured much. It's more of a kind of quick thing where you know what he's doing, but they don't have to put it in your face or like tell you or show you necessarily. You just see his eyes look in that direction for a moment, and you can tell that he's still watching the machine. By the way, this intelligence guy's actor, I mean, I just looked for a decent bit, couldn't find him on IMDb at least, but the actor does a good job making you not like him. I don't know if that's a compliment. I think that's a compliment. But then they show Travante a video with the mothership coming down, and I do like the attention to detail with listing the correct date, which I believe is March 11th, 2022. But I do want to point out this video that they show him glitches a bit. It could just be the vid, just an added touch, or maybe something more that happened in between those frames, just calling that out. But they do say that they're calling the dead zone area is what they're calling the area around the mothership, which I was definitely wondering that. That was my biggest question. One of my biggest questions in the trailer was, what is the dead zone? But they think that Travante is PTSD from losing Casper like he lost his son, which is just crazy that he just mentions that. The general just mentions that. And I mean, it got me thinking a little bit, like, this show is a little too contrived at times and obvious, like that he just knows that and is telling that to him. Like, I don't feel like that would actually happen, but I don't know. You can disagree with me. But there was a clip of Travante's funeral, who was watched by more people than anything has ever been watched ever, which it was Casper there too, because I mean, Casper helped out as well. But I do want to point out there was a new version of the main theme with, I mean, I'm not an instrument expert, different instruments, main theme still there though, that was playing in the background during this scene, which I was like, oh, they added something new to the score. I appreciate that. Then we go to Jamila, who apparently is talking to her boyfriend, and he's trying to convince her to go get a ticket to like this new Travante showing off thing, I guess. And by the way, I want to know how realistic you think it was that like that many people attended his funeral. I guess I was thinking about it a little bit, but I mean, it does make sense, right? He saved the world from aliens, but I mean, I feel like people aren't necessarily that grateful. But anyways, not criticizing. I don't like people who criticize too much. But I mean, there's always a healthy amount of criticism. But just I enjoyed the episode. I enjoyed the show still, even though if I have issues with it. But speaking of another issue, Jamila's boyfriend mentions that she tosses insurance in her sleep and that she can't get over what happened with Casper. And I was just like, it's another cliche, like like just saying that she's just tossing and churning in her sleep and can't get over what happened. Like, I feel like so many stories just have that plot line or that detail, and just please tell me this season will be good. It wasn't a great start. especially for the first episode picking up after that finale. It's supposed to like start with some gas and then like propel forward throughout the season on a journey. And I just felt like there was a little slow, little confusing, little contrived, but again, like I said, not a bad episode, but I think it was better than some season 2 episodes. But I really want the rest of the season to be good. I mean, of course we want the season to be good. We're watching the show. But after her boyfriend gives her the idea, I thought she was just gonna leave without him in the middle of the night, but she doesn't. She takes him with him. But at night, in the middle of the night, she does look at the old drawing that Casper made her back in season 1, early season 1, made of her, that she held onto once he was supposedly dead. Which, again, now that I'm realizing it again, season 2 started with Jamila dealing with Casper being dead, and now season 3 starting with Jamila with Casper being dead. Yeah. Okay, that's just I was just thinking about that. But then we see the flashback of Casper dying on her end in that room when she does tear up, and when he dies. And then she goes to go see Travante when he is supposed to present himself from coming back. And we see a freaking Casper like monument sculpture thing, which is, again, looked great. It looked great, and that was just caught me off guard. But we see Travante here with still some country flags, different flags. So again, if we're talking about this theory that they're together now, is it representing the different countries, or is it showing that they are all together in the same room? You know, are they together now? Is what I was wondering. But then the intelligence guy starts to talk to Travante, and we get this contrast, which I did appreciate. Another highlight for the episode was that the intelligence guy is telling Travante how he does not see a hero in him, how he sees a threat. And then we, at the same time, we see the president honoring him in his speech. Like the contrast of what a great man Travante is, and then what a failure and threat Travante is. And I think Travante is definitely more so feeling what the intelligence guy is saying, because he probably believes it's more true, because he doesn't even remember being a hero or taking it down. He probably, I mean, he's more confused and scared. But yeah, I mean, the intelligence guy mentions he has a history of being the sole survivor, which, as we saw with Afghanistan in season 1, and I mean, not necessarily his family. It was just his son that died, but now the mothership. So I mean, they kind of are doing it. They're telling us, which in general you want to do show don't tell when writing, but I didn't like it, or I didn't hate it here. Actually, I think this was a good example of when you need to tell something like that, and I think that's great for Travante's character. But he stops to do his speech, and he reads a teleprompter, and the first thought I thought was, they're gonna make him suddenly like decide to stop reading the teleprompter, right? Like, that's another cliche, is if there's a teleprompter, he goes off track, people get confused. Which a little bit of it happened, but it also did not, so which was good. But I just thought it was crazy how small of an area there was, because at first I thought it was a stadium. They were gonna fill up the entire stadium. I mean, if his funeral was the most watched thing ever, and I thought he was gonna be like the center of it, but then it was like 40 people or something just in the audience. And like, how did Jamila's contacts get her in like this small group of people out of the whole world that wants to see him, apparently? So I mean, that's a little unrealistic, but that was just crazy to me. But Travante, it was reading a teleprompter and trying to like quote what Casper said to him. And the first part is, you're a soldier, and then he can't bring himself to finish the rest, but then Jamila helps by finishing it for him with when she says, help us. You're a soldier, help us, which was in season 1. But like, again, how did they know that on the prompt. On the teleprompter, how did they know what Casper said to him? Did he tell them? I'm guessing he just told them. But then Travante's like, who said that? And then Jamila just don't want to acknowledge that for like a minute straight. But then she stands up, walks up to him, and again, really funny actually was that she said it was me, by the way. I'm the one who said that. Like, it wasn't already clear until she walked up to him. I think that was funny. It made me laugh. But it's funny, they just decided to have a heart-to-heart and hug just on TV in the middle of the crowd, like nobody else is there, which is fine. But she asks him later when they get into a private room what happened on the mothership. He says he doesn't know. And this is when I started thinking cooking up a theory. Did Travante do it? Did Travante kill Casper or hurt Casper? Because they do that twist that Casper is part of the aliens, right? And if Casper is part alien, he would not let Travante like take down the mothership. So it made me think, did Casper like turn alien? Travante realized he was alien and he had to do something he didn't want to do to Casper. And maybe his mind's blocking part of that out because it was a little traumatic, of course. Like, I'm wondering if there was some sort of conflict between Casper and Travante on the ship that we haven't seen yet. That's a theory I'm cooking up right now. But Jamila tells him, you can't tell me just because you think I'm a kid, which, like, I didn't think you were a kid anymore. You're drinking at the bar. But it says Travante's lying when he says he can't remember, but then he gets angry because he's saying he can't remember exactly what happened. He can't. And it's probably worse for him than Jamila because he was there and he can't remember. And then I think Jamila's about to leave, and again, another thing that made me laugh is she says, Casper would have been right chuffed when you made it. I was like, what the hell did she just say? And apparently is British slang for means very pleased in British slang, so that's interesting. But Jamila is going to give Travante a drawing, but instead of taking that one, he goes for the one in her other hand further away, which again, another thing I liked, unexpected. And it's apparently his EG readout that looks like the mothership beam thing in the center of the mothership. But it's so funny to me that she thought it was the real EG readout. Like, did she think that's what an EG readout would look like? Like, did the doctors think that that's what a real EG readout looks like when somebody's heart's like failing? Like, that was crazy. It was like, she held that on. Oh, she's like, yeah, that was just his EG readout. This like alien mothership thing in the center. This was a totally normal way for a heart to look like as it died, which was crazy. That's funny to me. But when he sees this, it causes a flash in him. He flashes of being on that mothership and the alien in the wall pushing him back, like sending him back. He goes flying. And I think it's a detail worth noting as well is that the giant pillar in the middle was like exuding lightning flashes, which we saw bits of that before, but it was like more intense, like it was angry. Then we go to Travante confronting the general, telling him he saw a new kind of alien and that it was the same sound he heard when his unit got killed from the ship back in season 1. And so I will compare the sounds right now for you guys if it lets me without copyright. But Jamila explains how she tried to be normal, but she can't let go of the past, which, again, a little more generic story, but I don't hate it. It works. It works. But the general isn't listening to Travante at the same time. And here I started to wonder, maybe they didn't show us exactly what happened, and they did the flashes because they wanted some mystery or intrigue to the episode. A lot of the times when people, showrunners, writers do like the flashes and bits and pieces throughout the episode, it's when they think that the episode wasn't enough by itself, when they think it's all right, but we need to add some flavor to it. Maybe that's when they decided to break it apart I think that's a little bit of it, but I think they also want it to be more of a season mystery on what exactly went down. Waiting, like building that anticipation to see what happened, which I do like. I'm excited for. But basically Jamila's telling the boyfriend that she's gonna have to stay, and I was just thinking the boyfriend really shouldn't have tried to comfort her by making her go here. She leaves him and says, I don't want to bring you into this, I gotta go, which is crazy for him. He's like, God, he's thinking to himself, God damn it, I should have never ever made that suggestion. But again, Jamila finds him like finds Travante pretty quickly. But like I was wondering, like, how does she have access to him? This is like the most famous guy in the world right now, and this girl just found him. You know, like, do we have any kind of precautions or anything? Like anyone could just do that, I guess. But some lights activate down the hall, trigger flashes of the ship that Travante sees. Once again, as they both get grabbed by some army men, I guess, some military men who get 2v1'd by Travante, which felt a little unrealistic, but they might have just not warmed up yet, you know? Maybe he was warm already. But I was wondering here, why is the alarm going off? Why are they grabbing him? Like, again, that's not clear enough, I don't think. I think we do learn it's from the intelligence guy, but like, why are they so on alert for Travante? He just told the general his thing and then left. He didn't say, I'm gonna go on this mission, I'm gonna like hurt people. He just ended the conversation and left. But I guess they suspected him already. But Jamila sneaks him out in a car. They get away. She tries to call people she knows, but Travante destroys the phone, grabs it and throws it out the window, destroyed with his hand. And she says, didn't need to snatch it out of my hand like that, which he says, yes I did, yes I did. Again, kind of like the interaction. And this is the one time I felt myself getting kind of excited for this team up. I was getting kind of like, the only time I was actually excited in the episode. I was interested, I was paying attention, but it's the only time I was like, okay, I'm excited. But it's they show us that the intelligence guy is the one who wanted Travante, and says Travante is the most wanted man, which definitely kind of a flip up from being the most celebrated man. But as they're driving by, Travante sees birds flying in the figure eight motion on like different parts of the earth again, or at least we see it here, which aliens ain't gone for sure. I mean, we already knew that, but for sure he's kind of realizing it here. And then they play a different version of Space Invaders song in the credits, which I believe was in the credits of episode 1. I think it was episode 1 that they did it, but just pointing that out, they've done that song before, and I liked it. But yeah, that was the episode, and tried something new with the copyright and this green screen. Hope it worked out, and just thank you guys so much for watching these. These videos are definitely longer and more engaging. They're open for discussion, and I just want to point out a lot about the episode, and we can just enjoy art together, which I appreciate. We'll be back for every episode this season, and then hopefully Silo starts soon. There's rumors of October, which would be insane. I love Silo. You can check out those videos on this channel too. But thank you guys. Let's check out Invasion next week. And this alien behind me, where is it, over here? I just looked at it. It looks kind of crazy. Okay guys, have a good rest of your day. Goodbye.